video. This is an introduction video for 2022. So for this session video, I would like to address a few topics as usual, and then I'll get into a Nollywood film called Cheeky Girls, right? Yes, that's what I'll do. We'll go into a Nollywood film called Cheeky Girls, right? This will just be a gist, but then I will do a full video on Cheeky Girls, right? So then for today's video, I want to say happy spring, because spring semester started yesterday. Yesterday was Friday. That's the first at CUNY, the 28th. And then what else? And then I want to say happy New Year's to you guys, because I didn't see you guys for almost all of January, right? I didn't get to see you guys, at least on YouTube, since December, right? I didn't get to see you guys since December. So for today's video, I have just a few topics. This video will not be long because I want to keep it short, because this is an introductory video. I don't want to make it too long, right? So to start off, the first thing I would like to start off by saying is, the first topic I would like to go into is dating, right? Dating. Because as I'm going to the spring semester, I know a lot of people who, like, if you're in school right now, or if you're not in school, some people are interested in dating, right? So then the topic for today will be dating, and then I'll go right into Cheeky Girls. Okay, so when it comes to dating, one thing I don't really recommend is online dating, right? In the past, I told you guys about like stuff like OkCupid, stuff like Bumble. And Bumble is a good one because women, there's certain like protection for women, right? For instance, in Bumble, if you are the woman, you cannot be messaged first, right? So you get your choice of who you want to. You could pick the guy, and then you choose if you want to message him, and then he can reply, right? So in Bumble, the guy cannot message you first. You message the guy, right? And the second thing is, in Bumble, there's a protection measure where if you want a certain profile to be verified, you request they verify the profile. Like, I think I went into this in a previous video, and I spoke to okay, in order for the person to be verified on Bumble, there's this thing. It's like this recognition, and they have to do like maybe 7 hand gestures. And it's like unique gestures they have to do. They have to smile. They have to put like a picture up of a word. And I think they have like maybe 100 type of gestures. And the thing is, like, it's randomly calculating the gestures, right? So the person cannot know ahead of time what they're gonna be, right? So it's like it gives you that extra precaution of safety if you want the person to verify their profile, right? And also, once their profile is verified, they could also choose if you can have yours verified, right? And then there's also video chatting through the website, so you don't have to give them your real number, right? But in spite of this, I really would not recommend anyone do online dating, and this is why. Okay, I don't really recommend online dating because a lot of times when I've done online dating, it's been really useless, right? Nothing is really achieved. It's like you're basically you keep messaging people. Sometimes they don't get the message, or sometimes they don't care for you, or the people you care for, they don't really message back, or some people, they're more shy than others. You give them a message, they'll take a long time to reply. So I think the main way to, if you're interested in dating, is to just go out there and just date, right? So one thing I would say, especially for people who are in school right now, or for people they regularly go out, they regularly, like, they're outgoing, they go out into the community. So if this is something that you're interested in, school gives you one heads up, right? If you're a church member and you can have a huge church, that's another heads up, right? Because then you have more people, more ways in the community you could go to, right? But if you're not a person that goes to church, and if you're not in school, there's still hope for you, right? So then one thing I would say, and that goes for people who want to make friends also, like especially youth, they just went into school, this is their first semester, they just got out of high school and they want to make friends, and it's not for dating. What you could do is, you know, one of the ways to make friends, other than just keep going up to people and networking, is you go into activities you like, right? Like for instance, there's this thing with writing, Gotham writing, because I love writing. So when you go online and you go either to Zoom, I don't know what they're doing now because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So when you go online, and I'm gonna link down below all the websites that does like activities, and there's one, I have a really good one, and you could pick as many activities as you like, right? It has a lot of things that you can do, right? Any interest you like, it has it, right? Because it's like a portal, and it connects you to other activities, right? So if you like to go to a park, if you like to, I don't know, swim, it has an activity for everyone, right? And it has price ranges everyone can afford, right? So the best way I would say, if you want to make friends, if that's your thing, is it's not to actually go out and meet people, because some people are introverted. The thing you might want to do is find the thing that you're interested in, right? Like if there's something with a book club, then you go in a book club, right? And as the teacher is like going through the room, that's how you would make friends, right? Or just have the ambience of being in the book club. Everything is done for you, right? But I find when you're trying to make friends and you're like, it's like in school, like for me, I have to say this, right? And don't take this the wrong way, right? I'm a little bit closed off, right? And I know there's a lot of people, they're the same way. So it could seem like, if you're looking at them, it looks like, don't talk to me, right? I know some women have that thing, it's called RBF, where the way their face is, it looks like, they look like they're always mad, right? They always look upset, right? And sometimes if somebody's interested in you and they think you're always upset, they're thinking something, and that's not what's really going on, right? Naturally, if I'm in class, like I've had people tell me this, I look a certain way when that's not how I am really, right? So if you are a person, you look like naturally that when you're around people, like you want to kill them, and it's not what you're really thinking, like you just have a face that's very serious, I would suggest you do the first thing I just said, right? Instead of meeting people in class, which for some people it's a bit hard, because like they don't know the person, they don't know what to expect. I would say what you should do is you do what I just said. You do clubs in school, you do extracurricular activities, you do things where you put yourself out there, and when you guys are learning, that's how you make friends. Or if you don't make friends in that way, then you could make friends by just being in people's presence, like having that ambiance, right? So then that's one thing, that's one way, right? But the thing I said is not about making friends. This video is about dating, right? And it's for people who want to start dating. Okay, so what's the first thing you could do? As I said before, online dating is not what I really think is a good idea, and I see that based on TV shows like Catfish. It just goes wrong, right? Even when it's the person, I find that when it's the person, it goes even more wrong than if it's actually not the person, right? And I see the reasoning as, if you know somebody for 3 years, you've been doing something like a pen pal through Catfish, and then you're trying to find the person and they're always like hiding. Usually there's a reason, right? And oftentimes when it is actually the person, it's usually very disappointing, and it's because the person is being your pen pal because they don't want any commitment, right? That's usually the thing. They don't want the commitment, so they're okay with being your pen pal. That's why they're, you know, like, that's why it's so hard to reach them, because they don't want anything physical, right? They just want the emotional aspect, right? But the thing about catfish, and I remember there was one catfish, the one with Zach and wait, Zach. It was with Zach and another person, and it was like a gay couple, and that was the first time I actually saw a catfish actually go for what he wanted, right? So in that episode of Catfish, Max asked him, what do you want? He's like, well, I want a relationship, right? He did not go around the question, right? Some people, they keep going and they go in circles. They ask him, they don't know what they want. Like, there's nothing I hate when you're pen paling somebody, at least when I'm watching Catfish, and then they meet the person and it's the person, and it's like they don't even know what they want, right? That was the first time I saw somebody on Catfish and it looked like they knew why they came, right? There was a reason why they kept wasting the other person's time, right? And towards the end, he moved the guy to where he was. They moved in their own house, and he was about what he was about, right? One thing I don't like in Catfish is that the person never knows what they want, right? And that's why they're the catfish, right? That's why they're so hard to reach, because they're not looking for anything serious, right? That's why it's hard to get them on like anything concrete. That's why. So then, to go back to what I was saying, okay, one thing to dating, if that's what you want to do, is that thing, the activities. That's one thing. And the second thing is, when I mentioned with you in class, if you don't have that thing called RBF and you look approachable, then this is good, right? So the second thing I would say is, you ask somebody for help for something, right? Something you need help with, right? And some people, when you ask them for help, some people are like, oh, okay, they give you one answer and they're finished, right? But if usually if you're gonna ask somebody for help, or if you go and ask them a question, don't ask them a question that's like an open and closed question, like, do you like the color purple? Don't ask them a question like that, right? Ask them a question where they have to like give you an answer that is longer than like yes or no, right? So if there's an assignment, and make it look like it's an assignment question, right? Especially if you're observing the person, because I know some people, when they want to date somebody, like they've been looking at the person for a long time. They've been looking at who the person is for a little while, right? So they've been observing who the person is, and then they're gauging if they want to approach the person, right? It's very rare that somebody is thinking about talking to somebody, and it's like that's the first time that they saw them. Usually there's a little bit of stalking going on, right? Especially if you're in church with the person, or if they're your co-worker, or if you go to class with them, you know something about the person. And mostly, sometimes people don't want to admit it, but you've been doing some online stalking of the person, right? You know, let's just be real, you've been stalking the person a little bit, right? So then, if you've been stalking the person a little bit, you know a little bit about the person, right? Because in order to zero in on the prey, you have to know a little bit about the prey, right? So when you get the person's name, usually you do a little online stalking, right? You find out if they're with somebody, and if they're single, then you gauge, okay, is this okay? Can I do something here, right? And the third thing is, when you're approaching the person with the observation method, what you really want to do is you want to observe like what type of person they are, right? Because sometimes you want to see if they're rude, what their personality is, right? You don't want to go up to somebody, it looks like they're always short, they whenever you go up to them, they're always rude, and you see how they interact with other people, like they look like they're always upset about something, right? Usually the person that you'll be interested, there's something about them that looks approachable, right? So usually you'd go towards somebody that's approachable, right? And even if the person is not approachable, what I would say is approach them anyway, right? Especially if they look shy, and then use the open question thing I told you about, right? That'd be a good thing. So then another thing is, I told you guys about this before, especially for women, right? If you're a girl and you have like 100 friends, make sure there's a point wherever you are, if it's in school or if it's at work or if you're in the park, make sure there's a point when you're by yourself, right? Okay, because the person, the guy or the girl that's trying to approach you, remember that the guy or the girl, they get nervous just like anybody else, right? And if you're around like 5 people, you're around like a brigade every single minute, usually that would tell somebody is either he or she has a lot of friends and they don't need anybody. Number 2, it could be that she just always has bodyguards around there and it's not worth it. And number 3 is you're not approachable, right? You have too many things going on. There's no room for the person, right? And not only that, it's also intimidating, and it gives the person no chance of talking to you, right? Because if you always have a brigade around you, usually some people, they have like a mixture of a guys and girls that they're friends with. And what's going on when they have the guys and girls that they're friends with is that usually they have like people that's very like, you know, like funny, like they have a clown, or they have somebody that likes to talk and like answer back. So if you're going and you're interested in the person, you're approaching them, and they always have this funny brigade around them, it is extremely intimidating, right? It's something I don't recommend, that if you're a girl 24/7 you have a brigade of girls and they're all outgoing and they're always talking and chat. It is very intimidating for the person that wants to get to know you. So that's one thing, right? If you're a girl and you're interested in at least like you would like to date, be in a way that at least once in a while you're alone, right? There's a chance for the person to come and talk to you, right? Because it's extremely intimidating. There's never a time when they see you by yourself, right? And even if there was one chance you're by yourself, a guy is always like breaking in and like getting in the way, right? That is very intimidating, and I would advise you to find some time like where you could at least be off to the side, right? Be off to the side. Okay, so then that's pretty okay for that's part of it for dating. And another thing I would suggest is with dating, especially because of COVID-19, a lot of people, because they've been inside, and I was just watching this YouTube video, they look like they look a little bit rough, right? They look a little bit rough, right? They look like they've never seen the sun, right? They look like they've just been in a cave, right? They've been in a cave, right? So if you're going out, right, and it's springtime, make sure you look not only peppy and happy, make sure you being a woman don't actually look like a woman, right? You actually look like you're ready to step out and venture into the spring, right? Venture into the spring, right? So that means you have to put effort into yourself, right? So that means also you have to be adventurous also, right? So what I would say is, since it's spring, begin to invest in yourself, right? And because of COVID, everybody was in their cave. I would suggest you guys do a lot of spas, right? Do a lot of spa treatments. What else? Do a lot of things with self-care. That's number 2. Do things with a lot of because it was winter time, right? Because it was winter time when we were in our caves, like do a lot of things with skincare. You moisturize your skin a lot. And because it's spring, like use a lot of bright colors, right? Use a lot of bright colors, right? Because you want to attract attention onto you, right? You want to attract a lot of attention onto you because that's what you're looking for. You're going out into date. If that is something that you're interested in, it has to be in a way where it looks like that's what you're looking. That's what you're trying to attract, right? So one thing I always say is on the law of attraction, right? And the law of attraction has to do with something with like attracts like, right? So if you're a person you're trying to date, remember, if you're a girl and you're trying to attract like a catch, then you yourself have to become a catch, right? You have to, you also have to get a life of what a catch would be, right? So that means, like, if you're in school, you would do activities that you like, so that you could be well-rounded. You don't have to have the same activities as the person you're attracting, but you have to have your own hobbies, right? And then what else? So then back to the law of attraction, right? So if you're a person, you're trying to attract a catch, right? You yourself have to look like a cat. You have to look like a catch, right? That means you have to wear bright colors, right? Well, you have to wear colors that you like, right? And being that it's spring, bright colors would be the way to go, right? So then one thing you would do is you'd go to the spa, right? You go to the spa, you'd moisturize a lot, and then the thing is, you need to get out there, right? Because you're going into the dating sector, right? So you want to go out there and you want to put your best foot forward in that way, right? So then another thing is, a lot of in Christianity, there's this term I keep hearing, and it's called kingdom husband, kingdom spouse, kingdom wife, right? And I've heard that. I've not really seen that term really in the Bible, kingdom spouse, but I have heard of the ordained spouse, the one that's ordained for you, right? I'm more familiar with the term of the ordained spouse, right? The God ordained one, right? Like for example, Isaac had Rebecca. For example, Jacob had Rachel and Leah. What else? For example, Ruth had Boaz. So then this is a very real concept. But the thing that I'm seeing online with kingdom husband and kingdom spouse, the thing that I'm getting from that, the idea that I'm getting from it, not that it's wrong, is that it has a lot to do with something called witchcraft, right? Witchcraft. Because the concepts that I'm hearing when the people keep speaking about kingdom wife, kingdom husband, it seems like the person is maybe something, from what I'm getting, is like the Holy Spirit told them, or in their heart God promised them the person, and then as a result they have a deep, like, it's like God keeps to them telling them that that's the ordained person for them, right? And usually with what I'm seeing is that with some people, what will happen is that over time this person, they do end up with this person, right? But I do believe this concept is very real. But the only thing I would say is, with kingdom husband and kingdom spouse, be careful that you don't come into something called witchcraft, right? Because sometimes, and this has actually happened to me, where I actually like somebody, like I like the person so much that I'm beginning to like, it's not that it's not God that's giving me the idea, but it's like it's more me than God, right? So then if I have a dream, it could actually be my subconscious and not actually God talking to me, right? So be careful that because you want the person so much that your subconscious is just putting in holes where that's not actually what's going on, right? And then another thing I would say is that when you're interested in somebody, go up to them and talk to them, right? Like a lot of people, if you talk to them, like this person that you think that's your kingdom spouse or kingdom wife, like you ask them a simple question, like an open-ended question, and you talk to them once in a while. Or if you see another person that you like don't keep your options just on one person that you spend like years and you're just languishing on one person, right? Open up your horizon so that if that doesn't work out, it doesn't leave you heartbroken and destitute, right? So then I do believe that term does exist, and some people, what they're saying is very real, like the Holy Spirit actually spoke to them, right? But be careful that you don't do some things that I do, where I like somebody so much that I'm beginning to, my subconscious is actually conjuring up like like dreams that it makes it look like it's God that's talking to me, when it's actually just me or some other entity trying to put something in that's not there, right? Meanwhile, the person doesn't know nothing about me. They've never seen me around. They don't even know my name. Or if they know my name, it's just, I'm not even on their trajectory, right? So be careful when that's the case, right? And if that is the case and you're still interested in a person, do what as I said before, go up to them and ask them a question and see if it could work out, right? Sometimes we're thinking that something is going on, like they know about us, and really it could really be solved if you just go up and see, okay, and they say, oh no, I have somebody, or oh no, I'm not really looking for that. Then you shut the case, and then you're able to move on. And if it's really the person that you think that the Holy Spirit is really talking to, they will eventually gravitate towards you, right? But the thing about you haven't never spoken to the person. But then again, the thing where you haven't really spoken to the person, and then for some reason you think they like God is speaking to them, that seems a little bit like you're wishing something upon them that's actually not there, right? So be careful about that, especially if you've never spoken to the person, that you don't do something like that and then you spending months and years and you're languishing on somebody who doesn't even know who you are. And it's not because they don't like you, it's because they don't know there's any interest there, right? So don't do that to yourself, right? So then finally, okay, so then back to what I was saying. Okay, so then the next portion is I'm gonna start with the brief synopsis just of the Nollywood film Cheeky Girls, right? So Cheeky Girls is this Nollywood film that stars Iniobong Edo Ekim as Tabitha and Mercy Johnson as Pamela, Tabitha's best friend. It stars Peggy as this illiterate woman, and Elsie is like a bush girl that Pamela has pity on and decides to come into her mansion, right? And then there are various other characters that the four of these women interact with, right? So Cheeky Girls, I would say, is a very funny, like slapstick type of Nollywood film, right? Usually I don't really go for slapstick films, but this one is pretty good, right? So Cheeky Girls starts off with Iniobong Edo Ekim's character. It seems like she's speaking to this man who is her husband from the dialogue, right? Like, or somebody that is has been in a long time commitment with, right? So in one of the first few scenes, you see she's speaking to him and she's telling him, look, you make 150,000 naira a month, and that's just not enough, right? That's child's play compared to the other men in I believe they're in Lagos, who make more than that in a day, right? So the guy, she's telling her, honey, Tabitha, I am very content with what I have, right? I don't need any more than what I have. I make do and I have enough, right? And so she's trying to tell him, look, you could get ahead, you could go abroad, you could do a whole bunch of things to make more money, you could go and do more businesses. And he's just trying to explain to her, I don't need that. I'm content with what I have, right? So that's the last we see of that guy. So in the next scene, and what I note from this movie is that it's like a revolving door of guys, right? Most of these women in the movie, it's like it's amoral, but it's like it's a fun way of looking at them being immoral. And it's like they keep just rotating guys. Guys are just like accessories for them, right? Just like the accessories they wear every other 15 minutes on the film, right? So from this film, you see that the girls, they're just very materialistic, right? They change guys like they change their heels in the film. They change guys like they change wardrobe in the film, right? And the reason why I mentioned that is this is a brief synopsis gist, and I'm gonna go into full synopsis of this movie, because I don't know, something about this movie, it's interesting, right? When I decided to watch it, it caught my attention and it kept it, right? So I'm gonna give you a full synopsis gist. One thing you need to know about this movie, it's from that golden era of Nollywood that I always keep talking about, and it's magical, right? It's funny, and not only that, it's the thing I told you about the editing is true. It's 4 hours long, right? But for the first hour I just began to watch, or hour and 30 minutes, it's caught my attention. And being that it's a slapstick comedy, which I don't usually like my ribs were cracking, right? My belly wanted to bust because I just wanted to crack my ribs laughing in this movie, right? Like the scenarios that these women are facing, it's like ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. And like one thing I have to say about this movie is it's giving me Archie comics vibes, right? Something about it is reminding me of the 1940s, right? Even though it's set in very modern times, right? Something about what they're wearing, something about the things that they're thinking in the film, it just keeps giving me Archie comics, right? That's what I'm getting from it. That's the main gist, like that's the association I'm getting, right? And then what else? From their names too, like Tabitha, Peggy, Pamela, Elsie, their name seems like something like very teeny bopper American. That's what I'm getting, right? And then what else? And then the thing about this that's very funny is that I know American people, like with race and stuff, like any little thing, like they're about to crawl and just roll in their graves, right? This film, I'm gonna say right now before I go into the review, if you get offended quickly, I would suggest that you stop right here and just go watch something else, because this movie is really offensive, but it does it in a way that's funny, right? Like it mentioned, like the subject matter is that most of the women, they're trying to secure a white husband, right? And it's like it's done in a way it's so ridiculous that you have to laugh at it, right? And I know that most Americans, if they would either take it like it was funny, like what they're doing with that their good sense of humor, or they would take it in a way that it was very offensive, right? So I'm gonna warn you right now, if you're somebody and you get offended really quickly, you've been warned, okay? Now would be the time to stop and just go to some other video or just watch something else, right? Because the subject matter of what I'm gonna say is kind of offensive, right? A lot of it is offensive. Okay, so then to people that are okay with being offended and they find things, they don't take things too seriously, the film it mentions a lot about securing a white husband, and it has a term called mugu, right? So a mugu is something like somebody that most like this is like a Nigerian term from what I heard, is when like they're trying to swindle money either online or swindle money when like a white person or like a European person or foreigner comes in, right? And basically it means like a foolish and a gullible like foreigner, right? That's the main thing that mugu means, right? So it uses this theme a lot, right? They're trying to trick these men into securing them their whole life, right? Buying them mansions and cars. That's the whole thing, right? That's what they're trying to do, is just get them to buy them a luxurious lifestyle. So then the film continues. So that's the beginning. It starts off with Tabitha being unsatisfied with the guy that she's with, right? and then it fast forwards to her going all abroad to Balak with this foreigner, this German foreigner named Balak, and she gets married to him, right? So a year later, it's reported, and she comes back to Nigeria, but the thing is, once in Nigeria, she leaves Balak in Germany, and they're still married, and she is currently living with this Indian guy who is her second husband, right? Unbeknownst to Balak, right? So she's playing two guys, right? So the film, I'd say it has a lot of this amoral thing, but it's done in a way, it's very funny, right? It's not like something that's serious. It has a sense of humor. So then the thing is, Mercy Johnson is Tabitha's best friend, and you can see that Mercy is kind of jealous of Tabitha, right? Because Tabitha is a person, she's just got that magic thing where guys just fall at her feet, right? And she gets money and cars and things from guys willingly, right? They throw money at her, right? And Pamela, even though in her opinion she's just as good as Tabitha, she has very poor luck with guys, right? So Pamela, in the beginning, before Tabitha goes off to Germany, she has like a stable boyfriend, right? And he proposed to her. He told her that he was gonna get married to her, right? He promised her marriage. So then one thing that Pamela would always discuss with Tabitha before she went to Germany is, look, stop playing these men for cars, money, and all these things. It's gonna catch up to you, right? But Tabitha is always like, play wise, play wise. You can expect to just be a one woman or a one man type of woman, right? You have to play the field. So in the film, when she goes to the boyfriend who just proposed to her, he has the ring on the table, all the decorations, and in a ziploc, that zip type of open like package, her wedding dress is in that zip package, right? A beautiful wedding dress, right? So she's excited and she's happy, and then she opens, it's like, I have to try it on, right? So she's opening it to try it on when a woman comes in, and the woman's like, oh, is this your cousin? What, your cousin wanted to try on my wedding dress, right? So it's in that instance, Tabitha finds out that the guy has been two-timing her, and that the wedding dress and everything is not for her, it's for this woman, and that's what he reveals to her, right? So in this scene, she faints, and it fast forward to a year later. So that's where the film really begins. So after a year later, we see a woman named Peggy, and Peggy is talking to this man named Maxwell. Peggy is talking to this doctor named Maxwell, and they're in his living room, and they're talking to his parents, right? So the dad, there's something he can't read, so he's like, oh, what a beautiful woman that you brought into to meet, and that is to be your future wife, right? So he's like, oh, I can't read this, hon. Could you read this for me? So she's like, oh, I can't read it either. And he's like, what's wrong? Do you need glasses to read it? Is the light too dim? And then because he keeps pressuring her, she reveals that she did not go to secondary school, right? That she has a very limited education, and that she's actually illiterate, right? She can't read or write, right? So the dad is like, what? Even the mom is shocked. She's like, I can't believe it, Maxwell. I can't believe you, an accomplished doctor in university, would bring home an illiterate woman, right? You have brought shame to this family. So the dad storms off, and the mom's like, Maxwell, I can't believe this. An accomplished doctor with an illiterate woman. Please don't disgrace the family. And she just walks off in disgust, right? So then you go to another scene where Pamela, she's jilted, right? She's jilted, and she seems like from the first scenes where she was happy-go-lucky, she seems bitter now, right? So in this scene, we see that Tabitha left her a mansion from the many men that she's been swindling, right? So it's in this mansion that Pamela has been living, and she decided to allow her friend like who she was friends in, like in school with, like in all throughout school, named Elsie. And Elsie is like a bush girl, right? She's a bush girl, and she's been living in the village, in the village, and she was with her parents, and due to a lot of difficulties, and because she was Pamela's friends, Pamela decided to bring her into her mansion and just offer her a new lease on life, right? Because she's going through a lot of hardships in the village, right? So the thing about this movie that's kind of cool is that all of these women, from what you're getting, is that they're all well-to-do, right? They're all well-to-do. They're all like fashionistas. They're all like, the men are like revolving doors, right? They use men like they change heels, right? Once they're done with that, the heels, they throw it, they put it aside, and they put another heel on, right? That's what you're getting from the movie, is that materialism, like cars, money, and just men are just like tools to be used for anything that they want, right? So the main theme of the movie is Pamela wants to secure a white husband, right? Because she feels like if she secures the white husband, she could have the mansions unspeakable. She could have cars and money and things to buy everything, just like her friend Tabitha, right? So, but the thing is that since Tabitha has come in, Tabitha acts like she's a stranger, right? And Pamela, who's now jilted by the experience of being two-time, it's like they've gone from best friends to just strangers who are in competition with each other, right? Or who Pamela is very jealous of Tabitha's lifestyle, because it seems like everything is given to her on a silver platter, right? And it seems unfair that she has her choice of men and two husbands, right? And she keeps two-timing more men, right? So then in the film we see Peggy comes into the picture, right? And Peggy, for some reason, she admires Tabitha, right? So anyway, she could go around Tabitha, she just wants to be around her, because Tabitha is like the picture of wealth and opulence, right? She's just wealth and opulence rolled up in a bag, right? So then, so Peggy, she wants to emulate Tabitha, and by the way to emulate Tabitha, we see that she has another man named Desmond who wants her to learn how to read, right? But he's like very rich. But he's like, man, why don't you just learn to read so that I could marry you, right? Because from what we're getting is like that guy actually really loves her, right? Most of the men she actually is with, they usually love Peggy, right? But because she's illiterate, they can't bring her around the family, right? Because she's illiterate, and it wouldn't make any sense for them to present somebody that can't read or write, right? But the thing I would say about this movie that's funny is that Peggy's illiterate, but I don't know if she's swindling more men. It's like every scene she has like she's like in sky-high heels. In every scene she's in a car. In every scene it's like she looked like she just stepped out of a GQ magazine, right? So it's like something is not adding up. Either she's getting money from people, she's doing something on the side, and it's like in every scene she has a guy that is madly in love with her, right? So it's like she's doing something, and it's like the only problem most of the men in her life have is that she's illiterate, right? She can't read or write, but from what you're looking at, it doesn't look like she's illiterate. It looked like she's opulent, right? Just like Tabitha. So, and we see that she's very resourceful. She can't read or write, but her personality is like a personality where she can work with anybody, right? Even Tabitha, who's so rude, and she seems like somebody, she's short with everyone. Even Tabitha sometimes tolerates Peggy and lets her on in her fun, the fun that she's having with her mansion and her like opulent lifestyle, right? So another thing that happens in the movie is that Pamela and Tabitha, now they seem like they're frenemies or like arch nemesis after Tabitha comes in from Germany, right? And in one of the scenes, Pamela comes into the hair salon that she's always went to, and Tabitha's already there with her bunch of her rich and well-to-do friends, right? And then while they're doing their hair, they begin to laugh, right? And she's like, what's wrong? Why are you here all of a sudden, right? And the salon owner is like, oh, I'm sorry, no spinsters allowed, right? And they all laugh her out of out of the salon. But before they laugh her off, they tell her, unless you secure a rich white husband, or like a rich husband, you can't come here anymore, right? And Pamela's like, man, are you nuts? I've been coming to this salon like forever, and when did this come in? Because they all laugh and cackle off the store, the salon, and they're like, oh, if you don't have a white husband or a rich husband, you can't be here, right? So she's further begins to hate Tabitha even more, right? Because she doesn't understand why Tabitha is being so so selfish, right? So she storms off, and now the main point of Pamela is to secure a white husband, right? So this is the part where it gets really funny, right? So this gets a little offensive. There's a point in the video, and I'm gonna put it in the description, where the song starts to say, oh, white is right, white is right, I just want a rich white. And it's just like, it's funny because it is so wrong how the film is just, it's making like it's a big joke that all the women they just want a rich white husband, right? And it's just that they're joking about it, but it just is funny that how they do it, right? So then now that Tabitha embarrasses Pamela like this, her main goal in the rest of the movie is to get a white husband, right? So if she has to catfish somebody, if she has to get like through a hotel, her scheme now is to secure a white husband, right? So then the first thing she does is she goes through online dating, right? And her thing is, I'm gonna have to get a white husband, right? So Elsie, the bush girl that she allowed into her home, is like, Pamela, why do you keep... Chelsea's like the voice of reason. She's like, leave Tabitha alone, right? Leave her alone. You're not her kind anymore, right? She's a person, all she sees is money, and she uses men like they're napkins, right? Leave her and don't become like her, right? But Pamela's like, she embarrassed me, right? She made me look like I was a worthless spinster, right? And I'm gonna prove her that I can secure a white husband, right? So one of the ways she does this is she goes on online dating, right? She does so many things, right? The first thing, and I'm just gonna give you one example. So in one of the scenes, she sees a man named, let's call him Carter the Fourth, right? And he's supposed to be a guy from Britain, and she meets him at the hotel. So when she goes to the hotel, she sees this, she speaks to the hotel maiden and the hotel hotel clerk person, and she's like, who are you looking for? And she tells it Carter the Third, let's say, right? It's like a rich British person she's supposed to meet that she's been talking to online. And by the way, she's been doing a lot of scheming and doing things to just secure this white husband, right? So then when she goes to the clerk woman is like, come here. And she's like, what's wrong? She's like, you know, as a hotel, we have a policy where we have to protect our customers. And she's like, why is that? And then she's like, are you sure you want to meet this guy? Because I don't think it would be in your best interest to meet this guy, right? So she's like, but what's wrong with him, right? She's like, are you sure you want? She's like, yeah, because I met him online, and he's my rich white husband to be, right? So then she points to a guy, right? So when she points to the guy, I'm just thinking, what is wrong with the guy, right? She points to the man, and all you see is this guy looks like he's dead, right? He's sitting on the bench, and the guy is so old he can't even stand up, right? So Pamela's like, that's him? That's Carter the Third? He's like, yeah. The clerk woman's like, yeah, that's Carter the Third, right? So despite what she's seeing, the guy looks decrepit, right? He looks like he could die any moment, right? So when they go up and he's in the cane and he's practically death with a cane, right? He can't even speak, let alone see. He's like, I'm sorry for deceiving you, right? And he's like, and it's just, she's debating it, like her conscience telling her she just wants a white husband to pay off her whole life. But the thing is this worth it, right? So he's like, and in a split second, she's like, look, I just can't do this, because she asks him for his age, and he reveals that he's 72 years old, right? And the thing is, like, it's not only that he's 72 years old, it's that he looks like he's gonna die any moment, right? So then she's like, please don't leave me, right? So then she's like, but I just can't bring myself to marry you, right? Because she's supposed to marry him, because that's her future rich white husband, right? So then he's like, please marry me. And she's like, but why should I? And he's like, I own a let's say $5 billion fortune, right? And anyone who marries me, as soon as I die, they inherit 75% of the fortune, right? And 25% of it go to charity, to like a non-for-profit charity. And at first she is like, man, I just gotta leave because this is just too much. But she's like, did you say 75% of a $2 billion fortune? He's like, yes. Most women, whenever they meet me, they leave right away, right? Any woman that will be my wife, right? I don't have much time left. And they stay with me, and then I die. They will inherit 75% of my $2 billion fortune, right? So now Tabitha, Pamela, all she could see now is just dollar signs, right? So she's like, oh, okay, so all I have to do is marry you, and then I'll inherit this fortune, right? And he's like, yes, and I don't have that much time left, as you can see, because he basically looked like death with a cane, right? He looks like death. He looks like he's gonna die any moment, right? So he's like, please just be with me. So she's thinking about it, and she's debating it. Finally, she's like, let me just think about it. And she just leaves. She's like, man, I can't do this, because she just can't bring herself to marry him, because he looks like he's dead already, right? So then when she goes back, she tells Elsie everything that happened. Elsie is like, oh my gosh. Elsie cannot stop herself from laughing, right? Because everything she's doing is getting more and more ridiculous, because she has to secure this rich white husband in order to compete with Tabitha, right? So then in the movie, we see like a bunch of, all of them, they're trying to get like swindle guys, right? And Peggy, this is the last scene I'm gonna share with you, because I do want to go into a full detail of this movie. Peggy, she also wants to secure a rich white husband, or a rich foreigner, right? So in a shop, and this is one of her many schemes also, she sees this Indian guy, right? And so she's like, are you rich? And he's like, I'm relatively rich. She's like, do you like African women? He's like, I don't mind African women. Why? And he's like, would you consider marrying an African woman? And then he's like, sure, why not, right? So then she invites him into Pamela's home, because Pamela, Peggy and Elsie, they all live in one like swanky mansion that Tabitha had given to Pamela, right? Out of Tabitha's mini mansion. So when she goes into when Peggy invites the Indian guy into the friend's house, when she invites the Indian guy into the friend's house, that's when she learns that he has a habit of eating garlic, right? Like bulbs and bulbs of garlic, right? So he just brings, like, he's in the living room, and he just brings like a sack full of garlic, and he begins to spit them one by one on the floor, right? So then okay, my battery's about to die off, right? So I'm gonna do a full synopsis of this movie, right? But this movie is hilarious, right? And it stars Iniobong Edo Ekim as Tabitha, Pamela, which is Mercy Johnson, Peggy and Elsie. I'll get their names for you in the second synopsis gist. And so that's my video for today, you guys. My name is Christiane. Have a great time, you guys. See you. And happy spring semester. And I look forward to this year of hosting this channel.